There's only three ways to get in front of your future customers nowadays. And I'm willing to bet that the one that you're probably leaning on the most, you might be doing it wrong. We'll see. Hey, how you doing? This is Chris, your friendly neighborhood internet Sherpa, back again with another one of those tips on how to bring bodies to the door, put cheeks in the seats, and of course, build your list. I suppose it'd probably be a good idea before I get running my mouth to clean up what are those three ways of getting in front of folks nowadays. Well, one, of course, is by people just bumping into you or your establishment online. They drive by your place, or you've got something sitting out there. There's all kinds of things, but they physically see you in the real world. And then, of course, there's word of mouth because, that's tried and true. It's not going anywhere. And then there's the one that we're talking about here, which is the online space, using the internets, if you will. Now, I don't want to date myself, but before the internet, getting found by folks, it's a lot different. If you wanted to get found, you basically just had to throw a whole bunch of resources at display type ads where people saw you on a regular basis. So we're talking newspapers, magazine ads, billboards, the yellow pages, that kind of thing. And the whole idea was that they saw you over and over and over and over again. So you were in their head. So by the time they wanted something, you were occupying that space. That's why big display ads were so important. When you open up the yellow pages, you'd see half page ads or full page ads, and people had businesses like AAAAA, water pest control or something like that. So it'd be the first thing that people see when they went to that section. There's all kinds of goofy things that we were doing back then. Well, since, like I said, 2009, when, the internet matured to where it's at right now. So we've got things like Amazon and Google. Amazon. Yeah, I remember when the idea of spending money using the internet was that was just crazy talk back then. Spend money? I'm not spending my money that way. Yeah, we've come a long way. And even though we have come a long way, what's really interesting is there's a lot of independents out there that are still treating the online space, still treating all these different platforms they're on like it's 1999. So if you're an independent and you're treating your YouTube channel or your Instagram account or your TikTok or even your own website as like it's an online billboard, and you think that posting a whole bunch of content is all you need to do and customers are going to beat a path to your doorway, you really don't have a good understanding about how your customers, your future customers, are using the internet in 2026. Now, before I guess I'm trying to figure out how I want to get into this conversation. The most important thing I want to hit you with, one of the two most important things I want to hit you with is you're not on Facebook, you're not on Instagram, you're not on your own website. You are, but the better way to think about it is all of those platforms are part of your ecosystem and your future customers are wandering through that ecosystem. Each one of those platforms is a doorway to your online presence. And it's probably in your best interest to shape that online presence so it does what you want it to do. Now, in the interest of having that conversation, the first thing that we need to talk about is, I like to refer to it as free range content. I know it's a goofy phrase. I make up a lot of them. But let me explain to you what it is and why it's so important for you to pay attention to it, because this is a thing. Free range content, first off, by definition, my definition, is any content that you didn't create that talks about your business. The most obvious free range content, easiest to wrap your head around, of course, is online reviews, because you don't write those. You shouldn't write those. And if Google and Yelp find out that you are writing those, so don't do that. But that's content that other people write about you. But it's not the only free range content that's out there. There's online directories that create whole profiles about you based on what they saw somewhere else, which you're like, that doesn't sound too bad. Well, if you don't have visibility on those platforms and your information changes, like I know a lot of hairstylists that move around town. That's one of the things I've seen in my time of working with the folks in this field. You start off at this salon over here and you move to that salon over there. Well, these directories that were auto-populated with your information, they don't update. So now online, you got all this content that says you're here, you're there, and it started to be somewhat confusing. Is it a killer? Yeah, it's not, but it's not a good look. And it's not something that you really want to have out there. Here's an experiment that you might want to try. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's easy to do. Just go to Google or your favorite search engine and type in the name of your business. And what you should see, if things are going as good as they possibly can, is that you'll see a lot of your listings for all the different platforms that you're on. You should see your LinkedIn profile. You should see your YouTube channel if you've got one, your website, several different pages of your website, your Google business profile. All of those things should be dominating the first page. Now that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you see a bunch of goofiness on there. You see listings for your business that the information's all wrong, the hours are wrong. It's just a mess, or can be a mess. Or another one is you aren't even dominating the page that you should be dominating. There's all kinds of things that could be going on there. But the point that I want to bring up is that this ecosystem is a thing. And it's in your best interest to control the information, to coordinate that information. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing about that, and in the SEO world, we call this thing NAP, name, address, and phone number, but it's more than that. Making sure that all the information that's on any platform that anyone's going to bump into about you says the same thing about you. So, if it says who you serve, what your specialties are, it should say the same thing in all the different platforms that you're at. If they go to your social media, like Instagram, it should kind of reflect the same tone that they see when they're over on your TikTok. If you're on a TikTok, on your YouTube, on your website, that's important. And it's not that hard to take care of. Now, that's free range content, and that's kind of a big thing, but it's not nearly as big as the you owned content, the stuff that you're putting out online. And this, I guess, is probably the most important thing I should talk about. Because when it comes to visibility, making sure that people are seeing you online, visibility has two flavors. And most people only pay attention to one. And that's simply being seen, making sure that they do the SEO, they do the AEO, that's what answer engine optimization. They make sure they post on social media. They use the hashtag so people can see them and all that kind of stuff. And that's half of the picture, making sure that you are doing what you can to be visible. Because obviously if they can't find you, they can't call you. And if they don't call you, then you don't have a whole lot of business going on. But that's only half of what you should be paying attention to. The other half of what you should be paying attention to, instead of just visibility, is preference. Making sure that the information that you put online, in addition to getting you found, tells the story about who you are, what you bring to the table that you want people to see. Because people, when they go online, they're not just hanging out. What they're doing, if they're looking for services, they're looking for who would be a good fit? Who do I vibe with? Who is doing the things that I want to have done the way I think I want to have it done? And that's what you're supposed to be doing online. You're telling a story. You should be telling the story that you want told about your business. And a lot of folks, they just slap stuff up there. As long as I'm posting, I'm good. Not. If you get one of those 50 packs and it's like, oh, look, there's a 50 pack of social media content, and you just keep posting that. People look at that and they go completely blind to it. It tells them nothing about you. It tells them that you don't really care. I mean, it doesn't tell them that directly, but it gives them nothing. They're looking at whatever. As opposed to if they see one of your competitors that has content that shows their personality, shows them interacting with their clients, shows not just what they're doing, but the why of how they're doing, why they're doing it. One of the most important tools, the most impactful tools that you have are images, and then above that, video. Because with video, you can remove all doubt as to what you bring to the table, what's important to you, what you stand on in your business, how you run your business. It's very easy for people to get an understanding. And quite frankly, you remember, saying you remember means we talked about it before and we really haven't. You're not trying to get everybody through the door. You're trying to get a certain group of folks through the door that you're going to vibe with. So the content you put online should attract the folks you want to work with. So craft that message. And that's really what this is all about, making sure that you understand that what you're doing online is not haphazard. There is a method to the madness, and that method to the madness is one, understanding that the people who are coming to work with you, when they're looking around, they're going to bump into you in many different places. They're going to troll you. They're going to bounce from site to site to site to make sure that what they see of you is, confirms what they're thinking. And then you got to understand that when you put content out there, not only are you trying to be seen, which is awareness, you're also trying to shape perception. Because perception, if you remember to the last time we have a conversation, preference is how people will walk past convenience to get to you. Now, that's kind of important. I got one last cool thing I wanted to say. Let me make sure I find it because this is kind of cool. Now, if they pay attention to you or not, your online presence covers that. And since your online customers are going to wander through your online presence, through your ecosystem, it's probably a good idea to shape what it looks like. Because if you do on a consistent basis, that's the difference between being busy and having a book 3-4 weeks out, and crickets. Lots of holes in lots of holes in your calendar. Not a good thing. And that's something you can affect. Now, of course, if you want some help on doing that, holla at you, boy. I can get you moving in the right direction. I got tools. I got things to make it so that it works for you. But that's not what I want to do here. I just want to educate you on what's supposed to be going on. For right now, if you got any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, 702-582-6708. Or if you got a question or something you want to do, or you got a brain that you want to scratch, support@c2local.io. It's been a blast. I'll holla at you next week. This has been fun.